So, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode with Chat with Coach Kat. Today, with me, I have one of the most amazing people I've had the chance of talking to, and you'll be just as impressed as I am. Please allow me to welcome Elena.
Hello, Kat.
Hi, Elena. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
So happy to have you here. I think we're going to have so much to share with the audience. So please tell me what exactly it is that you do so our audience gets to know you, and how did you get started as an entrepreneur?
I'd be glad to tell you. Okay, so what do I do? That's a big, big question. What I love doing is I love championing women. So I work with entrepreneurial women 40 to 60. And I specifically like working with women who are up to really great things in their lives, but yet they're keenly aware that they self-sabotage on some levels, because boy, do I know all about self-sabotage. So what I love helping them do is I like to help them eliminate that self-sabotage without spending a whole lot of money and time like I had to do, so that they finally get a chance to grab hold of the joy and the success that's really, really deserving of them.
Wonderful. So what is it that started you on this path?
Well, what started me on the path was back when I was 28 years old, and I was suicidal. I had been suicidal for several years, actually, because I had a very, very traumatic life. I was born into a very traumatic experience, and it was daily trauma, daily abuse. And at age 28, I was what you would probably call socially inept. I did not know how to look at people in the eyes. I did not know how to share what I was feeling. I had never heard the words, I love you. I was just what I would consider a hot mess. I had no resourcefulness. And the only thing that I could think of was to end the pain was to die. Now, I was raised Roman Catholic, so anybody who's a Roman Catholic understands that you go to hell if you if you kill yourself. So that fear was greater than the pain. But every day I would pray, please God, just let me die. So on this particular day at age 28 in my apartment, I was once again at the darkest hour. I don't know what happened. Maybe a relationship had ended, because back then that's all I knew was how to garner any sense of self-worth was through the love of somebody else. But another thought came in, and that this had never happened before. I had the thought, maybe, just maybe, God isn't going to take me out of this. Maybe I'm supposed to transcend or heal this somehow. Now that was bizarre. I don't know where that conversation came from, but so I said out loud, "Okay, God, if you're not planning on taking me from this pain, then you need to bring me the resources and the people that I need in order to heal." And lo and behold, I understand now years later that was my initial intention. I had set an intention that I wanted to heal. And so I started hearing about books and audio cassettes. Yes, I'm aging myself, audio cassettes. And I started to go to workshop. Yeah. I heard about a seminar that I had never even knew what seminars were, to be honest with you. And I remember driving myself downtown Chicago, shaking because I had never even driven into the city by myself, standing outside of the door to this workshop with my knees literally shaking together, hoping that people weren't looking at me, hoping that I wanted to be invisible, because I want you to understand what a stretch out of my norm that was, but I wanted so much to end the pain. That was 53 years ago, and I haven't stopped. Since then, my life has transitioned 180 degrees. I always tell my friends, if I could bottle who I was and who I am, I would be a gazillionaire, because it's hard to even fathom. When somebody sees me now, it's hard to comprehend who I used to be, that I couldn't even look at somebody in the eyes, that I couldn't even hug somebody and tell them I love them, that I could not even hear the words I love you and have them go in my heart. So fast forward, that desire to pay that forward, to teach others, stayed in my heart for the longest time. And I would drive to work on an hour and a half each way to my corporate job that I was very successful in, but I was emotionally disconnected because my heart was really wanting to love on people, help people, teach them what I had learned. And of course, people were gravitating towards me. I was a good listener. And my friends would say, why don't you just become a therapist? I'd be like, oh, I love therapists, but that's not me, because my thoughts were always forward thinking, like, what do we do? What can create? What can we create, rather than stay in the pain part? But one day, when I was working for Morgan Stanley as a manager, my director says to me, Eleanor, you really should consider becoming a life coach, because she was already moving me more into soft skill management and doing like little workshops for upper management. I had no idea what's coaching, so I go home and I Google, and all of a sudden I see this world. Wow, coaching exists. So I signed up for my CTI training, and very shortly into my first training, I started to cry. And I started to cry because never in a million years would I have known that God had created an industry where it was a really good expression and a good vehicle for what my soul wanted to put forth, which was to love and support other women.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing now for 19 years.
Wow. Now that, if I don't know, if that is not transformation, I don't know what is. And, first of all, I want to thank you for sharing such, wisdom and such depth, and, being open to allowing others to take a little snapshot of your life, and also to provide hope for those that, are maybe struggling right now and they need this type of encouragement, that no matter where they're at, no matter what they're facing, no matter how bad it seems in this moment, it's possible to get to the place that you really desire for your life.
Yeah.
So go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that because I have overcome such deep trauma, and I always think, there's relativities of handicap. My handicap was humongous. Um, it really left me with the belief that anybody can overcome anything, and that's the space and the perspective that I hold when I work with clients. It's like, there's nothing you can't do, and there's nothing you can't work through, because I'm here to tell you that you can. And let me tell you why I think that and why I believe that. And so I just take all the framework, all the education, all the, over $200,000 worth of my own investment into thousands and thousands of hours. And I just pour that into people. And I'm here to say that I don't care what you've experienced, not only myself, but I know of many others who've experienced traumas like mine, even worse traumas. The soul is resilient. And I really truly believe, Catalina, that it is almost like that life itself is the journey of transitioning from what was put onto us, like God downloads a soul into a body, right? And we show up as little children, and we're all vibrant and loving and full of possibility. And then life happens, right? We get mom and dad's neural matrix, which is full of trauma from their downloads, right? And then we get society, and then we get all this stuff. And what does that do? It creates a shield over the soul, and it begins to dim people's lights. Now, different levels of relativity, right? It depends. Some people have a lot of that, like I did. Some people have pieces of it, but there's nobody that escapes from that. So our job then, when we take that on as our job, it becomes our duty then to start to chisel away at the armor and let the soul start to pierce through. And I believe that it's a better energetic perspective or position to take to let the light shine than to try to counter the ego. Because the ego, if you think, I believe that the ego is a protective shield that gets created to protect us. So the ego, even though it's limiting and even though it hurts us a lot, its intention is to protect, right? And so if we just start to find the soul and to push through little by little, light starts to penetrate through, and then our soul can start to emerge and evolve. And that's what I help people do. I absolutely know that this is what I was born for.
Then, I can definitely tell from the way you come across, and the energy that you carry into the conversation is so powerful. And I hope that everybody that's watching is getting the same experience, because it is quite amazing to witness it and to be able to hear it. And I do know, from personal, perspective, and from watching, people over the past decade that I've had in my coaching, is that ego is a terrible master. And I've heard this before, and it's absolutely the truth, but makes an excellent servant. So we want
Yes.
to use it to help us grow and, not to keep us stuck. So what would be, because I know that we all deal with it and
Yeah.
we all face, limitations. What are some of the things that you do in order to not allow yourself to become complacent?
To become complacent. Okay. Well, one, I meditate a lot. So in my meditation, I'm always looking for, I'm always asking, where should I serve? What should I do? I'm always asking for divine guidance because I'm asking for a higher perspective because my own little brain sometimes can't, always hold like what's possible, right? So, so I'm always looking for answers to come down for inspiration, if you will, and always walking forth with this attitude of I just want to serve. I just want to serve. So I push myself that way. I push myself in a healthy way, but I'm always looking for guidance, and but I'm also always aware and keen. I observe. I'm listening. I pay attention to where there is opportunities for me to love and infuse something into, and I do that by just being really cognizant and conscious to people, conversations, situations. And I'm always asking, like, what's my opportunity here? How can I serve? How can I love? And boy, it's always there.
That's powerful. And I hope you guys are taking notes, because that is one of the best processes that you can do. And first of all, it becomes, first thing you can do is become aware and
Hmm.
then never judge. Because once you're
Right.
starting to judge it, right, you start becoming in a fight with it, and it
Yeah.
just, leads to a completely different outcome. Now, I know from my perspective, from my experience, that the greatest, like, people have a ritual in place, some type of a schedule, and it seems like I can't talk right now. Is that something that you engage in to help you with, staying focused and driving your success in your business?
Yes. Well, let me tell you the whole thing, the whole concept of rituals and routines. And I can tell you that I have tried on like different hats, like different hats will fit different people differently. And I think everybody has to find their own hat, right? So there are guidelines around what works and doesn't work. I even interviewed several years back, I interviewed Hal Elrod. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he wrote The Miracle Morning,
Yes.
which is a really, he's got the, I believe it's called the, what is the acronym? I forget now. SAVERS acronym, which just stands for silence, actualization. V is for visualization. So anyway, there's a process. So I'm telling you this because there are so many ways that we can create a routine. So let me tell you that I have been more, I've kind of ebb and flowed. So there were times that I was really strict and really rigid with myself, and I got to do this and I got to do that. And then there's times that I threw it out the window because it wasn't working for me. So
Right.
what I've settled into a routine that works for me, which is before I wake up in the morning, I stop and I mentally rehearse or tell myself what I'm most grateful for. And I always say today is going to be a great day. Then I always meditate. And sometimes I prefer to do it in the morning, but sometimes it doesn't happen quite in the morning. But at some point I do my meditation, which is it's been my lifesaver to be able to connect and to be able to continually not grind, but to continually to put in myself, or I'm losing my train of thought, but to solidify in my mind that I am part of something greater. In other words, when I meditate, I see my life and my problems and my world as just a small piece of something greater that I'm a part of. When I do that, it helps to elevate me, not only from a possibility mindset or perspective, but also from it allows the things that I'm making too big to be minimized. It's such a beautiful outcome that I get from that. And then every night before I go to bed, I always focus on three things that I'm most grateful for in that day. I bring them back and I give thanks. Thanks for this. Thanks for this conversation. Thanks for this friend stopping by. Thank you for this awareness. And I give thanks for that. So gratitude and connection to source is the two things that are really powerful for me. I also journal, but I'm going to be full transparency. I don't journal every day. I journal when I feel that I need to journal. And there's days that I will journal day after day after day, and then I'll put it aside for a while, and then I go back to journal. So I think the biggest thing that I want to say is that for a while I was making myself wrong. Like, oh no, it's got to be like, you got to do all those steps and you got to do it every day. And if you don't do it every day, there's something wrong. No, this is also an opportunity for us to really be kind and give ourselves grace, and to know that whatever piece you come up with, then that becomes yours, and just honor that and love that, and know that it doesn't have to be any way other than the way you set it up for you. It's for you after all.
Yeah, and I really, really love the fact that you shared the way you shared it, because I think people really do get stuck in like, I have to, and if I'm not doing this right now, or if I miss this day, then everything goes out the window. Just like in dieting, if you've done really good, and then all of a sudden one day you've binged, you're like, okay,
Right.
from now on I have permission to binge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, really important to actually just acknowledge that day, and then, start fresh tomorrow and not give up on everything. And,
Right.
follow something that feels good inside, because when
Mm-hmm.
people force themselves to be a certain way and it really doesn't make sense for them, they only create more resistance and more
Mm-hmm.
doubt, and, more
Mm-hmm.
ways of feeling bad about themselves.
Yeah.
So I really want to honor, and again, thank you for sharing it the way you did, and being so honest about it, because it's one of the greatest attributes of a leader, and I really, like, again, appreciate that.
Yeah, and if I could share just one more thing about that, it's coming up for me as you're speaking. If we do it from any other perspective, it becomes a should, right? And
Yeah,
I always love to say that. Aren't you tired of being should on? So when we do something from a should perspective, the energy attached to that activity becomes counterproductive, right? That's why when we do things that are in alignment with us, when we do things in flow, the energy is pure energy. It's expansive energy. When we do it from a place of I should, yeah, we're doing the quote unquote right thing, but the energy that we come from is not the right energy. So the end result is not going to be what we really want it to be. It's not going to be as rich of and rewarding as when we come from, it feels right for my soul. This feels right for me to do. I want to do it. I choose to do it. Now everything is aligned, and what comes back from that is what you desire.
absolutely. I find that to be the truth,
Yeah.
especially in my own life and in my own practice, and
Mm-hmm.
in listening to the wisdom that is planted within, that I don't think a lot of people really tune into. And that's why so many people struggle
Right.
and feel the pain, and are, living a life that is not really fulfilling
Mm-hmm.
for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell me, what are some of the things that you've experienced in your entrepreneurial journey that you want to share with the audience? Some of the struggles that you've had, and how have you overcome them?
Oh my goodness. How long do you have?
Right?
I, I always say becoming an entrepreneur is the number one personal development journey, because it will push every button that you have. I had a corporate career prior to becoming an entrepreneur, and I was doing pretty darn good. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was getting kudos, making lots of money. It's when you fit inside a box, you can do really good inside that box because it's contained. The minute I put on my entrepreneurial hat, oh my God, it was one lesson after the other. Not only do we have to learn different tasks, like today I'm the salesperson, today I'm the coach, well, now I'm the biller, and now I'm the social media expert. We have to wear all these different hats, and it's not easy because, we have our sweet spot, we have our zone of genius, and then we've got all these other things that we need to do that a lot of us aren't even prepared to do. So that was definitely a point of pushback for me. It was feeling that I had to do it all and learn it all. And also there's your capacity, there's who you are. So I think as human beings, we have things that we're really great at, there's things that we really excel at, and then there's things that we suck at. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, you got to take on those things that you suck at. So if you come out of, like me, for example, I came out of a corporate job where I was praised. I knew I was doing a good job. I had all this confidence, right? So I step into the entrepreneurial world and I'm getting confidence as I'm coaching because that's my zone of genius. But I started to step into the other areas, and boy, oh boy, that self-esteem went out the window because I sucked at it. And it was nobody there telling me, hey, good girl, and oh, you can figure it out. Oh my gosh. So I think it was a process of surrounding myself with people, other coaches, being in community. Community is so important, to be around people that consistently keep your energy up, your vibrations up, and that you can be authentic with, and that you can go to when you're struggling, that could be a support, that could be a guide, that can help you through. Not only, I'm not even talking about skill set, I'm talking that, yeah, but also the personal, right, the energetic stuff, the mindset stuff. We absolutely need people. I always say, if God wanted us to do it alone, he'd have given each of us our own separate island. He didn't. We are together because we need one another, and your strength is my weakness and your weakness is my strength. Together we're perfect, right? So it's about surrounding ourselves with people that fill the gaps, that fill the need, and then collectively they give you the strength and the tools that you need to move forward.
Absolutely. And I know for me, even the way I entered the coaching industry was because, I was surrounded by other people that were doing this. And like you said, I wasn't even aware that such a thing existed. I knew of
Mm-hmm.
my skill set,
Mm-hmm.
but again, it just, I wasn't really so much into the therapy thing. I was more into like, the future thinking.
Right.
So when I came across coaching, and it was because I needed to solve my own problems first,
Right. Right.
right? And I
Yep.
do think most people that go into coaching, there is a personal element,
Absolutely. Yep.
included in it. And what is the hardest thing for you, as a coach? What is because I know, again, there's like many components that go into having a successful business. And I know for me, marketing is like
Yes.
something that I just, can someone else do it?
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
please just take it. Yeah, yeah.
What do you feel is the hardest thing for you to do as a coach?
The hardest thing, honestly, it's not coaching. It's the business side of coaching. It's all of the pieces that need to be in place, especially working online. It's having, like, I never really understood. Now, just to give you a perspective, one of the jobs that I had was I was an installation manager for a large telecommunications company, shared medical systems, not telecommunications, hospital information system. We would install $1 million systems in hospitals. Now, it doesn't get any more complex than that, right? Yeah, it does. Try doing an online business. It's more complex. I tell myself that all the time when I feel like, holy crap. I tell myself, okay, Elena, you used to work for shared medical systems. You were installing $1 million software in major hospital systems. That was pretty big. There was a time that I thought I would never be able to do it. And yes, I did reach a point where I could do it blindfolded. And I thought, why then is this monster called network or internet businesses? Why is this so complex? And I think it's because there are so many pieces, right? There's so much interdependencies, and there's a million different opinions about how they should fit together.
Exactly.
So it's not like, okay, you need these pieces and this is how they fit together. Great. I learned these pieces and I learned these and that fit. No, it's all the pieces are still there, but everybody's got their own opinion on how they weave together.
Right.
That to me has been the hardest part. And then of course, as an online entrepreneur, that drives how we reach clients, right? So if we don't work this part out, we could be the best coach in the world and we're sitting in our little, house waiting for the next client. we want to help, we want to serve. And that's also the hardest part, is that as soul-based, heart-centered entrepreneurs, all we want to do, like, I just want to help people, right? Like, I don't want to have to deal with all of this, but the having to figure that out is part of the process.
Mm.
And I also think that it becomes imperative that we take that on to some degree, because I believe that if you just outsource something, you're missing part of the value. You're missing part of the training, if you will, because you can be a better delegator when you know what you're delegating and you know what they're supposed to be doing, right? So I would say the last couple of years, I've really been like diving deep into this pool, and boy, has it been interesting, but really learning how to level up and how to bridge that skills gap on all of these things that I need to learn. You know, the sales funnel, the social media, uh, the funnels, like just all of that, even getting all the jargon down. But that to me is the hardest part, is really the business part. The online part of the business has been the most difficult.
Right. And I think there is also a personal element to it, at least
Oh,
in my experience, because when you work in a corporate job, obviously you have some type, like if you are upset about something, you can blame it on someone. Or if you're falling short, about something, you can ask someone. So you can rely on other people to
yes.
out. But
Hmm.
when you're on your own, it tests your own limits, and you know that whether you're successful or you're failing in your business, it's all up to you. It's the results sort of reflect what you're capable of, even though we are more capable than what we see. We just need
Right,
the system.
right.
So have you like found that something that you've done yourself?
Oh, absolutely. It speaks to resilience, right? I like your point. Your point is that when we're in corporate, yeah, we have a ready-made team that we can tap into. So you're getting the feedback, which is elevates you, right? You're getting the partnerships that are people outside of you that you collaborate with, but that you can also go to for, hey, I'm doing this, I'm not really sure. And so you're getting that feedback. And then you got your boss telling you, hey, great job. Or you got people, right? So you've got all these components coming in. You don't have those as an entrepreneur. You have to use your own tenacity. You have to use your own will to create that for yourself. You got to figure it out. You got to hang in there. You got to give your own pat on the back. That's, I think, for me, the hardest part, because I just did the love languages little test that says, how do you feel validated? And for me, it's words of praise. Well, when I'm sitting in my office trying to figure things out, there's nobody praising me and telling me, hey, got a girl, you're doing it right. So as human beings, because we are human beings first, right? Before we're a coach, before we're anything, we have to be more resilient. We have to find ways to get the things that we need as people, and then get our questions answered as entrepreneurs, as business owners, to be able to find the answers that we need. And I can kind of put that under the umbrella of tenacity. You've got to have that stick-to-itness and say, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to find the answer to this. And I'm going to reach out to that friend and say, I'm really struggling today. Can you help me out? So it's being willing to take responsibility to bring in the pieces that are missing for you, for sure.
Beautifully said. And that is the truth.
Hmm.
And you are a one-man team.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
What do you find is the most rewarding thing about being your own boss and being an entrepreneur and a life coach?
So when I was driving to work every day for an hour and a half one way, so 3 hours out of my day, I was not home. I've always valued autonomy. I've always valued just being able to have my own life on my own terms, right? So that's part of it. The fact that I can, if a friend is sick, I can go to them during the day. If my dad needs help, so there's that freedom of time, if you will. Um, there's also the reward of knowing that because I lived, because I fought, and I learned, and I healed, now I can help. There's no greater feeling than knowing that I had a direct effect on somebody fixing their marriage, starting their business, forgiving their father, mending that relationship, losing the weight, making the money, whatever the goal was, for me to know that because I lived, I had a direct input in that person's life. And to this day, somebody will drop a note on a chat or email or online and say, as a matter of fact, just the other day, a couple of weeks ago, actually, an ex-client, I posted something and she posted on there, "Thank you so much for pushing me," because her life has changed because of that. At the end of my life, I'm going to look back, not in the things that I gained. I'm going to look back at how my life was used, how I took the pain that I endured and I gave it a purpose. That is why I do. It's why I do what I do.
So powerful. That is, such a great way to end this. It's just wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. I can't box it in words. It's literally a feeling that you've given me just saying that, and it absolutely embodies everything that I
Yeah.
life coaches really do.
Yeah, and you know it too, right, Kat? I mean, when somebody shifts, be it a big shift or a little shift, and you know that as human beings, it's one little shift and another, and it's just we grow sequentially. And you know sometimes that if somebody makes just one little shift, you know that exponentially that's going to grow into something much greater. That's so rewarding that you, as another human being, that you were used as a catalyst for this person to change. That is like, I'm telling you, if I won $10 million tomorrow, that would be a great thing, right? I would still coach. Why would I still coach? Because of what it gives me, what it gives my heart. Because coaching for me is not a job. It's not even a profession sometimes. It's an expression of my soul. It's who I am at my core. I know you feel the same way because we talked about it. I know you feel the same way. I think when a coach is a good coach and it's a heartfelt coach, we do it no matter what. And we'll continue to do it. I hope that I'm 90 years old and coaching somebody.
Right. And I think you will. And that's the beauty of it, because it's our nature.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you live in that is when you feel the most fulfilled. And I
Absolutely.
hope that, anybody that's listening to this gets encouraged to follow their dreams and really go into their
Yeah.
passion, because no matter what you're being called to do, will have a greater impact in the world. And you're also influencing the people around you, and
Yep.
you're changing lives just the way you are, and the way you choose to be, and what you choose to do with what you've been through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if I may add to that, I want
Absolutely.
to let people know, don't be afraid to go after the thing that has been in your heart or in your mind, thinking that you don't have what it takes, thinking that you're not good enough. Because here's what I know to be true. And that is, if you have something on your heart, I know that you also have the ability to make it so. Otherwise, you would not have been given that wish on your heart. Notice that a painter who loves to paint will be given the gifts of painting. A cook or chef who loves to bake and cook will be given the gifts. Whatever is in your heart to do, you also have within you the capacity to do it. Do whatever it takes to make that gift come to life, because it has been put there for a reason. It's your soul calling you forward.
Just beautiful. I think you can write a book about what you just said.
Maybe I will.
Well, it starts here. I want a signed autograph book, so I'll be the first.
Okay, all right, you got it. Maybe we can co-author.
Definitely. Sounds like a plan.
Yep.
So, you since we've left the thing on such a great note, I would love for our audience to be able to find you. Where can they do that? How can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can go to my website, and it's elenazanfei.com. I know it's kind of, do I have to spell it? ELENAZANFEI.com. I have a free downloadable there that helps women kind of push through a little bit of self-doubt. So if they want to grab that, or they can read a little more about me, a little bit more about my story, and yeah, learn whatever they want to know about me.
Well, thank you so much for sharing
You're
everything you've shared
welcome.
with us today, and for being the force that you are, and making such an impact in the world through everything you've been through, and how you've taken that and transformed yourself to be able to be the voice for those who are voiceless. Thank you once again for
Absolutely.
being here, and you're just amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I love you and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.